Hi everyone. I am really excited to do this for you guys, and I have to start off by apologizing because I planned on doing this in my office like we did last time I did a Facebook Live, and my day got a little bit crazy, so we're doing this in my car in some random parking lot. So this Facebook Live is going to be about six of the main reasons why your training is failing. There six of the reasons that I see most frequently, and the ones that, if you've done any work with me, that I'm usually they're the ones that I point out to you kind of in the middle of things. So let's just get started. The first one that I see a lot is quitting before the behavior is done. So what this means is that you have gone to a certain point and you sort of think that the behavior is good enough. It's not completely done, but it's good enough for what you need it to be. So this would be like if you're teaching your dog to sit, and the dog is great at sitting in your kitchen, or even in your backyard, but then when you take it out, it doesn't really know how to do it. You haven't proofed the behavior for that sort of distraction and generalized it for different locations and things like that. So another way that you might see it is when you're working with a reactive dog, and they seem to be quieter. They're not really like at the end of their leash and they're pulling, but they're still not happy to see other people or other dogs or anything like that. So it's quieter and it's good enough for kind of what you need it to be, until it becomes something else and you need it to be a better behavior. Let's see. So number two, I have my notes up here, which is why I keep looking up there. Number two is using the wrong motivation or not really motivating enough. So I see quite a few people who want to just praise the dog, or you're using certain types of treats because you don't really want to add a lot of calories in there, but it's not really motivating enough to the dog to do the behaviors that you want to do. If you add like a high level of distraction, or you really want the dog to, stop chasing after squirrels or something like that, you're going to have to pay them enough and with high enough value treats to get them to do that kind of stuff for you. I also see people wanting to use certain kinds of food instead of play when their dog really wants to play. There are a lot of ways that you can integrate play and other kinds of food and stuff like that, so you don't really have to have treats on you all of the time. And other ways that you can reinforce your dog. If you are trying to get them to sit and wait at the door, the reinforcement can be going out of the door. So there are a lot of ways that you can do that, but you have to make sure that you're using the right sort of motivation and the right payment for the dog for those sort of things that you're doing. The third thing is being inconsistent, and I see this a lot. So this means that you're not using the same hand signals every time, or you're sometimes sitting down and sometimes standing up when the dog really isn't ready for that sort of stuff. This also can be when you're expecting the dog to lay on their mat while you're cooking dinner, but also sometimes it's okay if they don't do that. So that is really confusing for your dog, especially during the learning process. And they really appreciate sort of black and white consistency, and this is okay and this isn't. Clarity is a big thing for dogs. So the fourth thing is training too long or not long enough. I see more not enough than too long, but sometimes too long it can be a big issue. So this means that obviously if you're not training your dog at all, they're not going to learn the behaviors. But training too long usually creates frustration for both of your parts, both ends of the leash there. I know it feels like a chore sometimes, so try to make it fun for both of you. Otherwise, you really won't get it done. So number 5 is moving too fast, and this is a really big one too. This is not breaking things down into small enough steps for the dog to learn the behavior that they need to learn. So dogs, again, don't generalize very well. So when you start to teach them something, you have to break it down into really little steps. And sometimes the steps, especially if it's a really cautious or fearful dog, are a lot smaller than you would think to be. So don't move too fast. Don't expect too much of them. Break it down into smaller steps. And number 6, which is our last one today, is not being clear enough on expectations while you're training. So this means if you want the dog to paw target if you're teaching your dog to stick their paw on a piece of paper or something like that, or even a line on the floor. If you are not clear about what you're expecting from the dog, and the dog is thinking, okay, well, when I walk over here, that's what is getting me the treat, they're not really going to be able to continue that behavior if you move the target. Also, sometimes it's really confusing for dogs when we talk too much during training. They're body language learners primarily, so I usually add in the cue at the very end when they've already known the behavior. So I hope that was really helpful for you guys. And actually, if you guys really like this sort of stuff, I'm happy to do more of these things. So leave a comment if you liked it, and I will try and fit in whatever you want to learn this way. Thank you.